Sure, for sure. I'm currently in Long Island, New York, but I normally am in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But my name's Doug Edrington. I'm a coach with Tom Ferry. So we have these calls every once a month, twice a month. What are we doing, Christina? 2 times a month? Yeah, 2 times a month. So I get the opportunity to work with Five Realty. It's an honor to work with you guys. I've known Nazar for a very long time and got to see him grow so honored to be a part of it. I have a team myself. I actually own a Berkshire Hathaway franchise, some in the real estate space as well. And I've got a team. We'll do about 500 units this year in Chattanooga. I've only ever done real estate. People ask me a lot of times, what did you do before this? I was a kid. I got my license when I was 18. I don't know any different. Had a lot of experience. Tom Ferry is my coach directly as well. I'm a big believer of not just being a coach, but also being a client of coaching, just like you guys. So I don't know, a little bit of bio there for you. What I want to talk with you guys today, we got 30 minutes. Okay. So I want to chat with you guys a little bit today. And since there's going to be a lot of people, maybe I won't make it too interactive, but it very helpful if I can see you guys. Because I do like the thumbs up, thumbs down, how many of this, how many of that gives me a little insight so I can make sure I'm talking to the right audience here. I want to talk today, especially going into today's the 1st of December, right? Which means we're already working on 2023 because unless you pull a cash deal together over the next week or so, I'm assuming most of our deals are going to be closing in 2023.
In a quarter mile, right onto North 6th Street.
Oh, we know where we're going now. And so when it comes to thinking about next year, some of us have done business planning, some of us have not, I'm guessing, right? And so if you're behind the 8 ball here and you haven't been doing your business planning yet for 2023, I want to challenge you guys to make sure that you're going into 2023 with a plan that's good for your company, that's good for you personally, and that's also good for your family and your loved ones. I think there's 3 really important pieces here that I want to challenge you on. And I kind of like to theme the call today of are you showing up? Are you showing up? So when I think of going into 2023, we all have these great ideas all the time. I don't know about you guys, but in my notes section of my iPhone, it is jam-packed full of that's a good idea, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. Anybody else in that same boat? Right? A couple of us. The question is, are we actually putting a plan in place to implement on that? And the reason we generally don't is because we're lacking accountability in some sorts. We haven't told the people that are important to us in our life about what we want to do, and it's holding us back. I want to start with what I believe is the most important one, who we need to show up for. That's our family and our loved ones. Okay. The difference between mediocre agents and really successful agents, one of the common denominators, in my opinion, is the transparency with their family and loved ones about their business plan, and their finance. So here's what I mean by this. Earlier in my career, I'm married. Earlier in my career, I would go home and tell my wife about the awesome stuff that happened. And then the days that crappy stuff happened, I usually just came home, right? Sometimes we all vent a little bit, but I would tell these awesome stories all the time. I got a deal. Guess how many closings I got this month? Look how much money we got coming in the bank account. But then I'd hit a dry spell. We've all been there. We've had the ups and downs. I'd hit a dry spell and I'd get kind of quiet and I get kind of stressed out because I realized I had set this scenario up for my wife and I'm generally the breadwinner in my house, pay the bills in the house. And so if I create this environment of we're doing good, things are all great, and I'm not transparent about the downs as well, she just kept swiping that credit card. I keep getting more stressed out. I keep getting nervous, right? And that tension starts to get created. Also, what I learned, telling you guys a little vulnerability here, what I learned going through this process here. I realized at one point in time that I was like in the bus driving the bus. I was the bus driver and all my loved ones were sitting on the bus. And I had this vision that they were my co-pilots, but really they were just passengers along in my ride. And they did not know where we were going because I didn't tell them the map on how we're getting there. That creates a lot of stress and tension. Anybody ever been in a situation like that at home where it's just like, man, this is stressful? Just me? I don't believe it. Okay, some hands are popping up, right? So I want to challenge you first and foremost. 2023, if you're not already doing this, needs to be the year of transparency with the loved ones at home, because that's the greatest form of accountability you're going to get. If they understand what your business plan is, what your financial goals are, how you plan to get there, I think there's a strong level of help. Now, my wife knows everything about my business. She's not in the business. She knows everything about her business, though. She's truly my co-pilot. When I come home early right now, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but this December's been harder than the last two, right? She's like, why are you home? Versus years ago, early in our marriage, early in my career, it was, when are you coming home? Right. And so she understands the goals. It goes back to, some of you guys may have heard this from Tom Ferry or someone at some point in time. Here's how I started this, because we can't just run home one day and tell your loved ones like, all right, here's the plan, here's the goal, and here's what we got to do. You got to kind of bleed into it sometimes. I did the old take the dry erase marker and put it on the mirror of your bathroom, right? Especially if you're like sharing a bathroom with someone, or maybe the refrigerator or whatever it may be. And I literally went but I took a dry erase marker in the bathroom and I put a number and a date next to it. Didn't even say anything to my wife. The next morning, I put another number and the date next to it. And of course, that night she says, what are you doing on the bathroom mirror? And I'm like, I'm putting our bank account number, because I just need to be aware of what's going on, if it's going up or down. And sometimes I don't like to look at the bank account when things aren't good, and I kind of avoid it. So now I'm just putting some practice into play so I can see what's going on. What do you think that did for my wife?
I kept her updated.
Kept her updated. One, it started making her question me in a positive way. Right? She was like, huh, is that good? And I'm like, well, you know what? It's not where I want to be. She's like, where do you want to be? Well, I want to be here. I was like, you know what? I should write that on the mirror. So I wrote that on the mirror. And I was like, okay, now we got a goal, and now we got a daily doc on the mirror. What's happening? Guess what happened in my household with our spending? It went down. It went down real fast, because now we started acting like a team on some financial goals, right? Does this make sense? Now, I like to play hard. I have some rental property. I like to buy some rental property. So when it came time to buy a house, like a rental property, it was like, all right, this is going to cost me $40,000 in a down payment. And I went to her, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about buying this house. And she's like, wait, we haven't hit our goal yet. And I was like, yeah, but if we spend this much, it's going to help increase our net worth. Oh, wait a minute. I haven't told you about our net worth. That includes our debt and the money we have coming, and the assets we have and the debts we have. And I was like, hey, let's do net worth on the mirror too. I started building out a spreadsheet on our bathroom mirror. And I got to say, it pulled us together like partners in a way that it had never done before. Can anybody say that, like, hey, I might be able to do this, and this could help in my household? Is this making sense, guys? So then it starts to bleed into things. It's like, all right, I need to sell 2 houses a month or 3 or whatever it may be. You get to put more of that on there and work with it. And so when I say show up, with the theme of this call being like, we need to show up, I want to challenge you. You need to show up for your family first, and just be really careful that you're not the pilot and what you believe is your co-pilot, or your family, your co-pilots. Make sure they're not accidentally just passengers. Because I can tell you right now, I know a lot of you are in Southern California. And I'm in New York right now. I'm with a couple people. If I had told them, I was like, hey, hop in the car, we're going to go for a drive. How long do you think it would take for us to accidentally show up in California? We may never do it, right? But if I get in the car and I'm like, hey, guys, we're going to Southern California. We're going to be very clear on what's going to happen, how we're going to get there. We're probably going to drive to the airport, hop on a plane and we'll be there today. But if I don't tell anybody, we may never get to that goal, right? So I just want to challenge you guys all to think, how do you show up at home? Does this make sense? All right, let's talk about how we show up for the company. I think this one's really important. As agents, I know some are part of a team and some are solo. Am I saying that correct? Okay, we got solo agents, we've got team agents, we've got company, we got all different sorts of professionals on this call right here. Showing up for the company is really important. Okay, and this isn't a pitch just from leadership and Nazar that no one's told me to do this. Okay, I'm telling you this from my personal experience. I've only worked for one other brokerage before I opened up my own about 5 years ago. And I was a huge proponent. I was raised this way, so it's not like I knew better. I was told what to do, right? And it was a good lesson to be taught. It was take care of the mother hen and show up for leadership. And and all that means is show up to the meetings, show up to the trainings, provide feedback, give lots of value, take value, because there's going to become a point in time, the law of reciprocity, where you're going to need something, you're going to want something. And I can tell you right now, this whole company is going to get behind you and support you if they know you as someone who supports them. Does that make sense? Now, all of you guys are showing up on this call today. I know there's a lot of us on this call. So you guys are already doing it. This probably is more for some of the people that aren't here, right? So make sure you share this with the others. But I can tell you there was a time, and I know this your company's set up a little bit different than the company I used to work for was. You guys are like new age real estate where I was raised in a more traditional brokerage, but this traditional brokerage I used to work for had a mortgage company, a title company, an insurance company, a home warranty company. They're a big company for our town. And I supported all of those people, but I had problems with some of those ancillary services from time to time. Instead of me saying, I'm not doing business with them anymore, and I'm going to go with someone outside, I would just go to the owner and say, hey, here's the challenges I'm facing, and I don't want to leave because it's nice to be in-house. It's nice to leverage the resources we have. And that owner of that company gave me a lot of new opportunity that I never even considered would happen, from literally just like the owner of our company was also a developer, and he gave me a subdivision of about 100 units one time. He was like, hey, Doug, I really appreciate all you do for the company. I just a little goodwill here. I want you to help me with this subdivision. And I like listed 100 houses. And I was like, holy cow, how was I the lucky one at 23 years old at the time? I'm 38 now. At 23 years old at the time that happened. And years later, I asked him, I was like, why did you pick me? And he was like, Doug, you just showed up and you were hungry. And even though there were more experienced agents that were probably better at negotiating, probably better at a presentation, I was worried that based on their habits of not showing up to our company, I was scared they wouldn't show up for my customers. It's like, man, that's great. So can we agree? When I say show up for your company, I'm not just talking about 5. I'm talking about all the people you're partnered with too, because I know you guys all have maybe different mortgage companies or title companies or escrow companies or whatever that you work with. Show up for them as well. Your partners, those companies. Does this make sense? That law of reciprocity will kick in huge. Okay. All right. I want to end with showing up for yourself. Okay, maybe we'll have a little time for Q&A at the end of this too. If you have questions, leverage the chat here and throw them in if you have questions about anything. Okay, showing up for yourself. So let's go back to this business plan. The first thing I want to challenge you on this year, guys, or for 2023, is the market has changed. Can we all agree? Interest rates are higher. Inventory starting to creep up. Holidays are really kind of making it a little bit weird with interest rates going higher, but I have a feeling Q1 inventory is going to be even higher. Consumer confidence is totally confused. Buyers are now going back to, we can play the game and negotiate. Sellers are getting a little nervous. Like it's kind of weird right now, right? I know a lot of you are probably leveraging online leads, or maybe a team leader's providing opportunity for you. But I think there's also a really important part that you got to show up for yourself in leveraging your past clients, your sphere of influence, and having a plan around it. The first, most of you probably don't know this number right off the top of your head. So this is a great homework assignment. But what is your addressable market? So here's what I mean by that. Okay, let's think relationships, sphere of influence, past clients, friends, family, all that kind of stuff. I want you to document all of those names and numbers. I'm assuming everybody's using a CRM. If you're not, get with someone from the company, because that's something we definitely need to be using. But break down, what is the addressable market? That's the number of people. And then start looking at, in the past 12 months, how many have you closed? How many has your colleagues closed from a percentage standpoint? Because you're eventually going to figure out your closing rate on these relationships. Some of them are going to be very high, and many of us are going to be very low. And that's because we're assuming our friends and family and sphere are just going to do business with us because they know us. And we've all been in the grocery store before and ran into somebody and they just told you they bought a house with someone else. And you're like, why? Why didn't they call me? Well, it's because I didn't have a plan behind it. So I would start with discovering, what's your addressable market first? Do you have 100 people in that group? Do you have 1,000 people in that group? Then start building a plan around, how am I going to add value to all of these people on a cadence? And not be, because I know a lot of us don't want to be salesy, and not be salesy, right? Salesy means you're asking self-serving questions. What we really want to focus on is value-adding statements, or just value in general, right? I'm confident that everybody on this call can sit down and build out what I like to call a menu of touches. We always think, all right, it's time to call that one person that I know really well, or I know pretty well, and I don't really know what to say to them. If you build out a menu of different ways you can reach out to them, handwritten note card, birthday card, an email just checking in. Hey, I drove by your investment property. I know you don't live here, and I just want to send a picture of it and let you know the yard looks good. Like whatever it may be. But there's got to be a plan, from newsletters to my dad's in the business, and he's been doing this for years and years and years. The old birthday card, except he puts $1 scratch off lotto ticket in every single birthday card. And I can't tell you how many text messages and some phone calls, but a lot of text messages that he gets back with an actual thank you, which is what we want, because it's a conversation starter. If you send out birthday cards, unless you write something extremely meaningful in that birthday card, you're probably not going to hear from them, right? That's safe to say, because they got a handful of birthday cards and it's just like, oh, that's nice. Alicia remembered me. That's cool. She sent me a birthday card. But if Alicia put a lotto ticket in it and they won $20, there's a good chance they're going to take a picture of it and put it on social media, or text you, or maybe even call you and say, gosh, Alicia, this is awesome. I just won like $20 on the lotto, right? So I'm assuming, I know I think the lotto's in all your states. Am I saying that correctly? Okay, perfect, right? So we actually had a customer one time win $100 on a scratch off from $1 scratch off, and it was a customer that relocated to another state. And they called us up and they said, can I mail this to you and you send me a $100 bill back? And we said, yes, we absolutely will. Right. And so, but it was a conversation starter. So, but that's just a couple ideas, couple strategies, right? But have a plan in place. Is this making sense? So I'm curious, just real quick here. So someone said, when your neighbor lists with someone else, gotta love that. Everybody hop on the chat real quick, because this is the power of numbers here. I don't know how many people are on this call. We have a lot. I got like 3 pages worth, but just throw in the chat real quick. If This group right here was going to build the menu of touches, how we could reach out to people. Throw in the chat an idea that you have. Is it a birthday card? Is it a newsletter? Is it a pop by? Is it a gifting program? Do you invite them to something? If everybody on this call would throw an idea up, we just built the menu for everybody. All right, let's see what we got here. Pop by, pop by. Be a little bit more specific if you're thinking pop by. What do you say? What do you do? Are you giving them something? Are you just saying hello?
So Doug, during COVID, one of the ideas that Nazar had was like coloring books and different things like puzzles and stuff. Cause you know, in California, our kids were out of school for a long time and there was a lot of stuff that was closed down. And so we were trying to think of ways that we could connect with our past clients and provide some sort of relief. So that was like Dollar Tree, coloring books, a thing of crayons here. Let's drop this off, something to get your kids occupied. And I think it's important that when you look for, you know, like it doesn't have to be high value. It's the thought that counts. And I'm going to disagree with your birthday card thing. People love getting mail. And so they are excited that you took the time to actually put a stamp, buy a birthday card and send it. But the icing on the cake is the lotto ticket.
Yeah, I'm not knocking just a simple birthday card. I agree with you. A birthday card's better than nothing. I'm just agree with you. The icing on the cake is throw the lotto ticket in it. It has a little fun with it, right? All right, let's see what we got. We got pop buys, client appreciation event. Let me touch on that one a second. I was just talking, I'm actually with the team here in Long Island, and we were talking about client appreciation events. That can be overwhelming for some of us sometime and really expensive. What I have found is start small and intimate and leverage your lender, your home warranty rep, your insurance agent to come along with you and do something fun. I did one not too long ago, just from some past clients of mine at a local winery down the road from us where they do wine tasting. And I walked in the store and I said, hey, I work at the real estate company about a half a mile down the road. I have a handful of influential clients that are big into wine. And I thought it would be cool if we partnered and I introduced you guys to maybe some people you don't know that are really influential. And I also had a reason to meet with them. Could we do a wine tasting here? And you guys cover the wine and I'll bring your new clientele. It's on the presentation, right? And they were like, oh, absolutely. And so we had about 10, we invited 10 people with plus ones. We invited a lot more people until we filled up 10 seats. So think about all the other people that we invited and they said, I can't make it, but I really appreciate the invite. That was just as valuable. But then I had 10 people show up and they all had something in common. And that was as they knew me. That was a win because they all shared their stories, found common ground, right? So if you're thinking like client appreciation events, you can do stuff small too. I've called up my lender before and said, hey, I want to take 3 couples out to dinner. And you've done business with one of them. And so they're going to brag about you too. You mind coming by and we'll split the check? Sure, let's do it. You know, so small and intimate is sometimes way more powerful than a big event that sometimes feels like a wedding and you can't really spend quality time with anybody. So client appreciation events, holiday emails, drop off a bottle of wine or a pie. Pies, by the way, one of the teams in my brokerage did a pie drop off last week or right before Thanksgiving. Is that last week? I think it was right before Thanksgiving. They did went to local Sam's, you know, the Sam's Club. I assume you guys have a Sam's too or something like that. Costco, Sam's. And these pies were massive and they got them for like $7 a piece because they bought 150 of them. They scheduled 8 listing appointments at the pie drop off and they all RSVP'd, by the way. And the people that didn't show up, their team got together and went and hand delivered those pies after. But it turned into 8 listing appointments because everybody came in. It was a little wine and cheese, pick up your pie, kind of decorated the place holiday-ish. And it was just an opportunity to chat with people. So that's a great one. Birthday video text, sing them happy birthday. If you've got a great voice, that's a win. Okay. I love it though. Like the videos are killer. Everybody gets the text message for the video or for the birthday, but the video is going to kill it. Monthly market updates. I love that, Seth. The world is confused right now. So make sure, you're letting your customer know what's going on. Alicia says a wellness basket. Tim says a letter from the heart. Weekly value emails directed to buyer and sellers. Love it. Send an electronic card to friends and family. I think those are becoming way and way more popular, but it's not there yet. So if it's in your budget and you hit the influential clients, I love that, where you open it up and it's got the video, they'll hang on to that for a while. Sports team gifts, that's awesome. I'm a Falcons fan, by the way. We got the pies again. So we're creating this menu of touches. I would challenge you to go a step further and also think about just the phone calls. What are different things when you call that you can say, right? And think about the ask too, because a lot of times when we're calling these people, we're going to ask if they know anybody. Anybody been following Phil Jones lately? Phil Jones has been crushing it, right? Tessa's raising the roof over here. I see it. Yeah. So Phil Jones has been crushing it. I loved his strategy when it came to how to ask for the referral. It was more of a, is there anybody that's like you that you think I should be doing business with? And could you just keep that in mind for when you run into them next time? It's kind of like a soft ask at first. And when they're like, oh yeah, I can do that. And what would that one name might be of that person? Oh, I'm thinking of someone that I work with. Okay, maybe they don't give you a name, but it's a coworker of mine. Okay, all right. Well, can you just promise me next time real estate comes up, or maybe even just bring it up to them if you think they should own a home, or they're thinking about selling, you let them know. The follow-up call is, hey, I was just checking in to see if you happen to talk to that person. Instinctively, they're probably, or I'm sorry, Phil Jones would say, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to. That's what he would say. I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to talking to that coworker yet. It's going to get them to recommit that they're likely going to do it next time they see them, or they're going to tell you, oh no, I did. And then you get to go for that conversation. So think about also like writing out that menu. You're basically putting topics or scripts in place to be able to reach out to them. So we talked about showing up for the family, talked about showing up for the company and the companies that you support, talked about showing up for yourself and having that business plan for next year. Is this helpful, guys? Any questions, concerns, thoughts, hallucinations? All right. All right, guys. Well, it was a pleasure working with you. I want to make sure we start on time and we end on time. No, there's a lot of people here. I want to respect your time. I'm looking forward to the next call. Christina, I'm sure, is always sending out the schedule. So if there's ever anything you guys need, hit me up on social media. Doug Edrington is my name. Feel free to reach out to me. Love to connect with you. And if I can help in any way, I'll make sure to do it. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Doug. We appreciate your time. And then those of you that are on here, next week's call, we have Dan O'Neill is going to be jumping in. So a good one as well. So we will see you guys all next week. Thank you again, Doug.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right,
Thanks,
guys.
Doug.
Good luck. See you
Thanks,
guys later.
Doug. Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Have a great holiday, guys.
Bye, everybody.